あの人が歌ってんのか。Look at the baby and the tree too. カムスキー。Look at the baby and the tree too.
In the space of a few
英語やん。
androids have completely transformed the world in which we live. By letting androids into our homes and factories, the CyberLife company has made them everyday technology.
英語の方がぽいね、やっぱ。
The founder of CyberLife, Elijah Kamsky, is a very discreet man. Despite being the CEO of the highest valued company in the world and being voted Man of the Year by Century Magazine, he remains a mystery for most people. That's why we at KNC are so excited to be here as CyberLife opens its doors for the first time.
Oh, first time.
Elijah Kamsky, could you please tell us where we are?
ちょっと違うな。
Certainly, and welcome. We're currently in CyberLife's production center in Detroit, where all models are designed and manufactured. More than 10,000 androids come off the production line every day.
Fascinating. Could you tell us what your goal was when you founded CyberLife?
アップルの人ですね。
Well, I
Point.
simply wanted to use technology to carry out all of our most annoying and repetitive tasks, so we'd have more time to enjoy life.
I imagine you must have faced many challenges.
Yes, there were technical challenges, but the hardest thing was to design an object that we would want to welcome into our homes. We had to imagine a machine in our own image that resembles us in every way, that moves, breathes, blinks like us, but yet is smarter and more capable than any human being. Let me show you around.
うわ、英語いいな。
We're here in production unit 4. Could you explain in a few words how the androids are made?
Sure, yeah, it's very simple. We use machines to manufacture machines. The removable parts are assembled on a production line, and then we apply a synthetic skin to the whole body. A human operator checks the cognitive abilities with a pre-established protocol, and finally, the android is conditioned and sent out throughout the country. Here's the result. Say something.
Hello, I am a RZ400 model. How can I be of service?
You can go now.
行きなさい。そのまま歩いていくんだ。
Our androids are already replacing humans in many fields. For example, they represent more than 80% of
80%.
professors and 63% of all medical staff. Tomorrow they'll replace our soldiers, and who knows, maybe one day our leaders, to make the best decisions in humanity's interests.
おお。
Come on.
なるほどね。別にそれを許容してる感じなんだ。
Has led to record unemployment of
夜のお店にい
28%.
た人いた
What
ね。
do you think about
英
the
語いい。い
situation?
い体やな。
Okay. The first steam engines also caused an increase in unemployment. But no one today would imagine turning back the clock. Artificial intelligence makes everyday lives easier. Nothing can stop progress. What's happening here is inevitable.
てかさ、普通に思うんだけどさ、従業員たち、普通にここで働いてるさ、作業員の人たちめちゃめちゃ防護マスクが全身覆ってんのに、こんなラフな格好で動いてていいの？
Everything's much easier with an android.
ちょっと濁した。
They obey your orders without ever complaining. They can cook, discuss philosophy with you, have intimate relationships according to your desires.
あはんじゃない？あはん。あはん。
Obviously, they are the perfect partner. Everyone deserves happiness. Why deprive yourself of so-called moral reasons when a machine can make you happy?
Many science fiction books tell the story of how machines become more intelligent than us and end up confronting us. Aren't you worried about that possibility?
I understand the irrational fears about artificial intelligence, but I assure you that will never happen with a CyberLife android. They're designed to obey humans. They're machines. They can't ever develop any sort of desires or form of consciousness.
でも芽生えちゃったんだね。
I'm absolutely certain. You can trust me.
そうならないんだよな。 英語いいな、英語いいな。なんか、めちゃめちゃスムーズに入ってくる。トウキさん、好き。いや、みんな同じだよ。誰が言っても大差ねえ。マーカ、カーラ、マーカス、コナ。なんか出口作ってるって言ってたから嘘や、嘘、思いっきり嘘だよね。
My name is Marcus.
おー。
My name is Connor.
あ、
My
コ
name
ナ
is Kara. I am one of them.
One of them.
This is our story.
I think who Kara is, or how I would describe Kara, depends entirely upon who's playing her. Because you have the
似てるな。
option to make her
似てるな。
multiple different people depending on the choices she makes. But I think she does start out
あれルーサーか。あれルーサー役の人が。
incredibly innocent
めちゃめちゃ似とるやん。
and hapless.
やっぱそのままデザインしてるの
Friends
か。
before I was reset. Maybe we can be friends again.
そのまま演じてる人、そのまま演じてる人がそのままモデルになってるんだね。
She just comes from her heart.
モデルと演じてる人は同じなんだね。すごいね。本当に女優として。
Are you okay? Are you hurt? Wait a minute. Leave her alone. Leave her alone.
The really beautiful
すげえ。
thing that I've had the gift to be able to do is to
本当に女優と
essentially
してっ
build
て
a
感じ
person
なん
from
だ
the
ね。
ground up because that's what she's doing throughout the game and with every experience she has and every person she meets she's
ずらとこだ、ずら。あいつ絶対ずらとこや。
in the sense of judgment and it's sort of an exploration of what it is to be a human.
Don't worry. Luther and I will be right here.
いやめちゃめちゃ大変だったろうね、これ。作るの。すごい
David
ね。
and the creators have
うお
intriguing and engaging
Marcus.
picture of a near future where we rely upon androids for a lot of our service class business, or the class that serves us, that helps us.
なんか変な感じだ
Our
ね。
drivers and our housemaids, and what is humanity, where we tap into it, how and why we treat each other the way that we do. And my character Marcus has a really intriguing journey, becoming deviant, realizing that he actually has feelings and human qualities inside of him, and it's a really incredible ascension into becoming fully realized and coming to terms with what you actually deserve better than this in life. And not only do you want it for yourself, but you want it for
かっ
your
け
peers.
え。
We've come here to demonstrate peacefully and to tell humans that we are also living beings. All we want is to live free.
You know what? This thing, Dad, is not your son. It's a fucking machine!
I think that a group that feels marginalized,
むずっ。なんか変異体になる前はすごいアンドロイドっぽい動きをしなきゃいけないってすごい
to
難しい。
themselves and the environment around
うわ、
them,
めちゃめちゃ暴力してる
trying。to figure out a way to articulate how to get freedom.
Connor is analytical.
コナー。
Takes things literally. He starts in the beginning place where he's very mechanical. He feels nothing inside, of course, and it's all just a system, a protocol that he is
Punk.
executing to get whatever he wants to happen, which is help humans stop deviants and to find the link between deviant androids.
You were designed to serve humans, not kill them. What was I designed to be? Their slave? Their toy?
Just say, I killed him! Is it that hard to say?
Stop it! Stop!
But of course, over the course of the story, and depending on the player's choices, Connor can
リアル爽やかだね。
deviate from that.
そう、いろんなパターン演じるのすごいよね。
Am I a living being?
すごいよね。
Or just a machine?
うわー。うわー、なんかやべえわ。もうまたすぐにちょっとやりたくなってくるね。いや楽しいな、ちょっとこれ見てんの。なんか本当に映画の DVD についてる特典見てるみたいだね。
David and Guillaume got back in touch about making Detroit. I wasn't terribly surprised they decided to make it because the fan response was so intense. So it makes sense that they would choose to do that after the enthusiasm. It was a challenge, and it was just an interesting thing to get my head around how to approach this character now as a different, much older person, and whether or not she had changed. And I'm very happy to say that with Detroit, I've had the opportunity to see Kara grow so much more than I ever expected.
You do the housework, the washing, you cook the meals, and you take care of. God damn it! Where the fuck's the rat gone now? Alice.
いやー、なんか英語の方が
Essentially how she does
英語の方がいいな。
in a very not robotic, but you know, android other way, and getting to take this journey where she becomes more and more human as it goes on. You know,
可愛いか確かに。
that's a wonderful
いやー、これいい
exploration
ね。
in every way, whether it's
なんか
how she
多分
sits, her posture,
な
how
んていう
her
のか
voice
な。
changes, how emotions
いや
change
いい
and
け
how much
ど
emotion
日本語だとやっぱ声優さん
social
感
experience. And so
やっぱ
having,
アニメーションの
you know,
上
as
に
much
声優さん
material
の
as I
声が
got
乗っ
with
てる
David
って感じだからアニメーション感があるけど
huge nuance
なんか
of
やっぱ
art
り
was really incredible.
英語だとすごい声優感声優そのアニメーションっていうよりは本当に映画にもっと近い本当俳優さんが演じてる感が強いよね。 どっちもどっちだろうけどどっちがいいかは好みだろうけど
And you're jumping around with props, and it's kind of like being a 10-year-old imaginative kid, which is fun. There's 80 cameras around us. It's already lit. So we just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot.
シューンシューンシューンシューンシューンノース姉さん姉さん
We'll go through about 35 pages in a day. Working in TV or film, we'll probably do 6 pages a day. It's kind of acting boot camp.
It's like working out constantly. I mean, you're doing this thing, and then you got to do something that's completely other back to back to back. And so that kind of process of working is very challenging, but it's also very exciting because you just have to keep coming up with new ideas. And your head goes all over the place because you're trying to keep track of basically 4 different storylines for each different response.
You shot that girl for fuck's sake.
It was a machine that looked like a girl. Yeah, I know what I should have done. I just
ああすごいあのシーンだね2人の逃がした
The
時
fact that David Cade, he's telling like many stories interwoven from beginning to end is super complicated and super impressive, and I have no idea how he keeps it all in his head.
He's not just the writer
そう
or the
本人
director
たち
seeing
が
this
演じながら
from
言ってる
outside.
声
He's
だ
also
か
looking
ら
at the player
ステイさん
walking
素
through this
敵
space.
それな
You know, only somebody who really,
ね
really
俺
loves
はそれ
not
で
the
書く
work, but like
Yeah.
these characters and these stories and cares about doing something meaningful would invest that much in it. And it's always inspiring to work with somebody who cares that much.
My experience with motion
お
capture
お
is this one.
か
And I
っこ
found
い
it
い
sort of terrifying in a way because they said the computer's going to build you. But then as we got into it, I realized all the elements of it were still artistic. I just dipped into a really brilliant setup here. I've never seen anything like it. And this won't turn me into a product because I was playing a character. So
かっこいいな
it's wonderful.
In the game, Detroit
観客
comes back because of a revolutionary industrial rebirth. And there's no reason why that can't happen.
ねえすごそうだよねそういうスタッフやりたかった
Millions and millions of people can very easily
いや
support,
ー
you know, a new industry.
すごそうだね楽しそう
and resilient, but the city has also been through so much. You see the damage, but it takes that time of kind of rebuilding and reinvesting into the city that I think is happening slowly but surely.
The potential of Detroit as a city is something that this game does a lot of justice to, because it would be easy to look at Detroit as some place that used to be, and that's not the case.
This game provokes a lot of conversation and reflection on our potential near future engagement with machines.
That's what we are to them. There's merchandise on display in a shop window.
I think that a group that feels marginalized, feels like they deserve and have earned access to themselves and the environment around them, and are trying to figure out a way to articulate how to get freedom.
What was I designed to be? Their slave? Their toy?
It plays with your comfort levels. You think that this is fine, you're comfortable with it, until something blurs the line and throws you off, and now
すげえやだマジで
should be allowed, should be banned, should be
それぞれのシーン何パターンあるんだよローズ
For a bunch of machines? They are not machines! They are alive! I'm alive! You're alive! They're nothing!
There are lots of comparable
Lord.
comparisons to any type of persecution of religion, race.
いやすごいよね超多いよねあんだけ分岐あんだからね絶対そうだよねマジで
choices to do whatever I think that's the whole point. You have the choice, and you can either choose to go in one direction with your character or another. And I think that's going to be very telling about the gamer. Very telling.
I think there's going to be a really strong reaction to this game, which has such a strong perspective. I'm that much more proud of it now to get to be a part of it because it's important.
謎に心臓バクバクしてるまだ。急に気づいたけど。いや、すごいよね。大作ですよ。
The way they deal with problems, the different endings to this game are so radically different based off maybe seemingly insignificant choices in the moment, but like life, they all add up.
Yeah, like
can't play
life
again, though.
Can life play again? いやー、面白いね。すごいね。ごめんね。ちょっと楽しくて見ちゃうわ。
Game after game, we try to,
ああ、そう、だからこのデトロイトがの会社、作った会社の、このデトロイトよりも前に作られたゲームをやるんですよ。ヘビーレイン。
We wanted really the player to have the possibility to change the story, change his own journey. When you're writing at Quantum,
今ヘビーレインって書いてあったけど、そのゲームやるんで。
You'll put a character in a difficult situation, and you as a writing team will argue about what would that character do. But ultimately, you have to decide what happens, and you just show the audience.
やっぱアメリカって感じするな。若いよね。脚本のチーフが若いよね。マジで。若っ。
is to provide a narrative context in which the player can write his own story. You're giving him this kind of narrative Lego that he's going to snap together into his own shape. You also have the ability to make your audience attach themselves to your character.
これよりも考えるはやばくない？
The audience is in some sense responsible for what happens to the characters.
顔レオ役じゃない？あ、俺と同じ方法だ。俺も盗んだからな。
How could you do that? I trusted you.
How could you do that?
How could you do that? How large they are.
Script
there are about 100 pages.
100 pages. うわ、すげえ。
Have to deal with script that is between
4,000 or 5,000.
Bigger because we don't just tell one story, but we tell all the
あ、そういう選択もあったんだ。
within this narrative space.
On Act 3, our final act, we have around 1,000 different scenarios. And every one of those scenarios has to be as interesting, as passionate, as strong, and as emotional for the player. We want every action that the player does, every interaction that is available to serve in telling the story, and help the player understand
最後のアクト3で1000もの分岐あんの。あー、なるほど。シリアスな映画。いや、そういうのも好きよ。いやーでもマジですごいね。こうやって見ると。いやもう今すぐにでも正直もう一回プレイしたいぐらいの感じだよね。
We started with the intention pretty early on that we would never lie to the player. So we implemented a visible tree structure in the game that players can consult during a scene or at the end of it, which shows exactly what they did and what they missed. There are games out there offering world exploration. We offer narrative exploration.
Keeping control of such a wide and large story is a huge challenge. So same thing when you shoot with actors, because you will need to shoot many different versions of each dialogue of each scene.
いやもうすげえなノートの数。
Because of the style of the game, you have so many different ways that the character can go. Every decision, it's what I call kind of choose your own adventure. Like every decision the player makes, it's going to open up 40 more pages of material and experience that ties in, which means as a performer, you have to try to continue to make things feel real that the player might not ever see, but also that in performance, it's not always connected to a previous act. It's grueling, it's hard work, but it's a great team, and I enjoy doing it.
I was really frustrated. I was until I got to this point where I kind of was able to step outside of my own experience and even in a lot of ways my own process and be able to step outside of that and okay, this is something new. What do you need? How do I meet you there? How do I give you what you need and still feel like I'm doing what's right? And once I did that, then all of a sudden it got really fun. It was much freer and having to approach it in a new way and think about the player and think about how it serves them and what I'm doing for them or what I'm letting them into. It's really, I think, helped me grow in general.
Remember, there's nothing on the left. That's all. So it's probably all there. And then make her come first, close. But I think you would go first to check that it's safe.
Okay, sure.
返事はすごい淡々として。Okay, sure.
The most enjoyable thing about working in performance capture on this kind of project
かっこいいな、コナ
if I shot a
ー。ライアン・
film,
デ
I
ッカ
would
ー
get to do one of these endings. I get to do so many different things as Connor. Your head goes all over the place because you're trying to keep track of basically 4 different storylines for each different response.
What's the name of my town?
大変だよね。
Scout. I think it's Jack. I can't remember. So I worked with physicality a lot because it was a good way to anchor myself in these different rings of the tree as the story
あれつけてんのすごいね。
I know where that is physically in my body and
すごいね。ちゃんとアンドロイド役を人が演じてるっていうこの面白いとこだよね。
what order those things come out and what they look like from a distance. Like if you're
あえ
playing
てそ
through
の
it,
まあ言ったらアンドロイドは機械的な動きなわけじゃ
their
ん。
version of Connor. I'm faster than you,
それ
and I
を
don't feel pain. You don't
そ
stand a
こ
chance
を
against
CG じゃないっていうのもね。機械的な動きも人がやってる。
Tourner les scènes d'action.
おお、すごいヒゲ。
Action scenes at Quantic Dream is a real challenge because these are scenes where the storytelling has to continue. It's not an action scene just to have a dose of adrenaline. The stunts have huge consequences.
英語に通訳された声だもん。
It's really a moment where we implicate
何
the
語話してるん
player
だ。
and tell him that the choices he makes during an action scene will have a direct impact on the
線になって
evolution of his
し
story.
ね、すごいよね。
Mon plus grand défi sur Détroit aurait
My biggest challenge on Detroit has been managing the large number of animations that we received from motion capture. Detroit features more than 37,000 animations, which is a huge amount to handle on a daily basis.
Donc il faut prendre conscience que
You have to realize that the player, in his first playthrough, will miss certain scenes. This also means that we had to think of, conceive, and produce all the potential story paths. The characters' costumes, the places, day or night,
すごいね。制作どんぐらいかかったんだろう。
Did he get injured?
ね
All
機
this
械的な
consistency
動き
forced
を
us
人
to
が演
produce a
じ
lot
てる
of
って
graphic
面白い
assets。in order to, quite simply, allow the player to have true continuity throughout the story.
continuité dans l'histoire. Honestly, we were even surprised by the challenges that come with such a big tree structure, and we did our best to guarantee quality across all the game and make sure that whatever path you choose within this narrative space, you will have an equally good experience.
かっこいいな。4年とか。そんぐらいだったんだろうね。制作費は。これ映像だけ全部見て終わろうかな。
Detroit Become Human was produced over a period
4年以上って書いてあるね。
Here in Paris, we have a team of about 180
パリに、
people.
やっぱパリ
And
なん
to
だ。
that, we need to add also all the outsourcing with our partners in the Philippines, in China, Vietnam, and in India.
So when we started working on this story, I had to imagine where Kara was built, and for whatever reason, the city of Detroit came very quickly to my mind because it had already an incredible story by itself of history and themes. So
デトロイトの歴史知らないからな。
and we were really moved by what we saw, and we could
4年以
really
上だ。
feel the desire to fight and really be born again. And we just continued this
8名
curve
様
of
いらっしゃ
growth and just imagine what Detroit would be
い。
like.
デトロイ
and
ト
the industry
終わっ
was,
て
you know, using these huge factories to
特
build
典映像を見ておりますね。
A very strong element in Detroit is that there's a lot of industrial wasteland and a lot of nature too, and for us, the graphic designers, it was an incredible playground. The destroyed zones which we wanted to preserve, we appropriated them to turn into something else. Then in the areas that needed to be rebuilt, we were able to imagine our Detroit of the future. We didn't want to make a science fiction universe. but a world of anticipation.
デトロイト以外、いや、終わっちゃったよ、ホワイト。終わっちゃったよ。
But those things are very far from our current everyday life. Anticipation is more about gleaning from our contemporary reality, the one we know,
今ね、特
because
典映像を
Detroit
見
is
てる
set
終わ
at
って。
2038, and 2038 is tomorrow.
確かにそうだ
The
ね。
difficulty we
確かに
had
そういう
was
のもある
sticking
もん
to
な。
reality. That is to say, technology becoming more and more invisible, a lot more elegant, and at the same time, making it visual. So all the computer equipment, autonomous cars, we simply had to invent. They are in fact very technological objects, but at the same time remain very credible and ingrained in reality. To create a cohesive universe in the fashion and clothing of the human characters in 2038, I didn't want to put an accent on strange shapes, or really vibrant colors, and things we wouldn't know. That I wanted to keep for the androids. The goal was to create something familiar which we can identify with in this future setting. Working on the artistic direction for the androids was a bit special because this is a project about the place they could occupy in the human world. It was out of the question for them to be too beautiful or too perfect. They had to correspond to every social class, rich and poor. Inspired by everyday utilitarian clothes, I brought a modern touch by adding dynamic display surfaces, the armband we can see on the side, the triangle on the front and back, and LED.
確かにそうだね。なんかそういうのをうまく入れる、なんか世界観に入りやすい感じであったよね。なんかありえそうな未来感がね。
Once we cast the actors, we travel to meet them in order to scan their faces. We record the structure of their face with the scan.
ゆりしてるけど。
And we record the colors and patches of skin with photography. Once we have this information, we will use this as a basis for modeling and creating the characters. The artist will make it more realistic, but will also enrich it. He will propose ideas which we will develop together. Finally, we will have a character with character who corresponds to the project in the world. When the actors come to Quantic Dream, we show them the design, what their image will be, and what they will look like in the game. This extra information gives them another dimension and color to connect with emotionally. It helps them think about how to play their character.
Your mission. That's all you care about, huh?
You should consult a professional who can help you.
Beat it, you hear me? Get the hell out of here.
So there are 3 types of shoots at Quantic Dream.
下ってか唇の裏でしょ。シーンがあったじゃん、自爆しないようにみたいな。あれで、ね、なんかあったもんね。American English。
There are the body only shoots, representing around 250 days of filming.
250日。250日で体だけを撮影。 体の撮影。
Mokit is when the player controls a character on the screen and he moves in an environment
BGM
to explore it. This is of particular importance at Quantic Dream, and therefore we shoot a lot to offer unique context for each scene and each character.
To prepare a motion capture shoot, we first get together to look at the sets we need, the animations that we want to shoot, which ones need to be grouped together, or which ones need to be cut and shot at another time, so that we get the most out of the shooting day.
歯もあるかもね、
This
確か
often
に。
means shooting scenes out of order, especially those with big props
あ
or
んだけだから
accessories
細部
like
ま
a
で
big car,
撮
for
影してる
example.
ってことだよね。
So we shoot all the animations related to that particular prop first. The biggest challenge for the mocap team was shooting a
壁を
Spider-Man
登る
mocap.
シーン。確か
We
に。
had to build a wall and attach an actor to a harness with cables, so we could pull him up and render him climbing.
The shooting on this game total took about, I would
撮
say,
影で1、2年。
maybe 1 and 2 years, with about 300 actors on set. So it's quite
300.
a massive production. But so much happened on this set between the stunts,
ホワイト
and the
とメグ
shootings
が
with
な
the
ん
little
か。
girl, and all these great actors that we had. It was really a very, very memorable
関係
journey
が進ん
for
でっ
the
てる。
team and for myself.
Aujourd'hui, Détroit compte.
Today, Detroit has over 37,000.
37,000.
When we retrieve the motion capture data, it's just a cloud of points, which represent all the markers worn by the actors. From this cloud of points, we have a phase called retargeting, which gives us a skeleton. This skeleton will be applied to the characters of the game. There is still work to be done, but this gives us the main movements. Since we are working on something very realistic, we must recognize the actor and also recover all the emotion he expresses in his performance. We use a system of facts, an identity card for each actor. We make the actor do a whole range of facial expressions. Then we recover all the expressions and paste the animations on a puppet that Jan has prepared. I then recover and refine these poses. I might stretch the lip, reinflate a cheek, tiny details that make the finished product really capture the actor.
すごいね。知らんかいながらそうだよね。
Because of the nature of our mocap system today, when we receive the animations, we're missing eye movements, and so the character has that dead look.
いやもう後ろと同化してるから黒い帽子がなんかアンドロイドで頭ない人みたいな。
In relation to his position, in relation to the body, etc.
It was crazy when I saw the newest model for Kara, because they've been working on it, and this was the first time I literally jumped in my seat. It not only looked so much like me, it was the fact that it looked so lifelike. It wasn't that it looked just like it was a camera, it was something else.
おにぎり食べるわ。
It looked alive.
おにぎり食べる。からし明太子おにぎり食べる。
Game after game, we learned the rules of optics and filming, and our goal with Detroit Become Human was to have cameras
外で買ったけど
that would actually emulate
食べなかった。
the optics of a real physical camera.
いただきます。
So basically dealing with real-world imperfections was our main task, and just to make cameras look as real as we can.
Once the animations are shot and processed by the animation department, integrated and polished, we film them. That is to say, we really do a mise en scène, as in cinema. The real difficulty of our job is to know if these cameras are telling us something. Are they in the emotion of the scene? Do they describe exactly what the action must convey, what must be felt? The most important challenge for me is one of the final scenes where Marcus decides to start the revolution and go to the battlefield. Very quickly, we imagine this to be a huge sequence shot. We wanted the feeling of a cameraman running behind us, while showing Marcus, the androids who help him, the person shooting at us, etc. Above all, it was necessary to say to oneself, this scene is very violent, it does not glorify war. On the contrary, that war is something improbable and absurd. It was really a fun challenge.
The idea was to say we have 3 characters. We would like each of them to have a specific cinematography. We wanted Kara to be much more
ああ確かに
some kind of
確か
handheld
に
camera.
違うね
Something very living.
確かに
very
違うね
For Connor, we wanted something very cold and very perfect. And for Marcus, we wanted something epic and spectacular. So it was about the filming, but it was also about the photography. So we worked with the director of photography to give each character
食べ終わっちゃうわ
a different lighting, different key colors. Each of them would have their own worlds. And finally, we worked with the composers, so they would create a specific sound for each character, so each would have his own world and his own style.
こういう裏話面白いねまあ、サウンドトラックとか見てないのもあるんですけどおにぎりもう食べちゃったよああ解除されてないのがあるなねこんなに残してたんだ逆になくなっちゃった何これ解除してどうなるのこれいろんなシーンね 鳩おるんだが。ふふふ。いやー、そんなわけでもう、なんだかんだ、11時半ですね。アートワークね。これを設定できるんだな、多分 PS4 の画面に。初めて教室いや、だって遅いんだもん。うずうずしてる間に俺も全部食べちゃったよ。いや、ちょっとやっぱないものは渡せないじゃん。そういう嘘はあれかなと思って。いいショートビーだけ1時間だけ見て。いや、めちゃめちゃ面白かったわ。なくなる前に言うんだよ、次からは。わかったそれ。いやはや難しいでしたね。海苔食べたくなった。パリパリ音聞こえてました。そんなわけでどうしようかな。パリパリむしゃむしゃ。わけでもいやもうここにクロエがいないんだね。はい、本当にはい、あれみたい。すごい。こうやってちゃんとプレイできるのね、チャプターはね。ゲームに習ってちょっとそういう感じ。手遅れということもあるんですよ。いや、嫌で拒否したわけじゃないよ。いやでも、ここでも選択。ちょっと感化されすぎた。クロエがいないよ、もう。じゃあ、そんなわけでデトロイト最終回でしたね。いやー、ありがとうございました。どうしようかな。選択ゲーム脳になってしまったな。そうだね。明日は配信はお休みになると思います。面言の方はね、面言の方で、面言でちょっと映画を見る予定なので、明日は普通の配信はお休みです。楽しかったね。ありがとう。ずっといてくれたんだね。こちらこそありがとう。こちらこそ楽しかったよ。ありがとう。メグも本当にありがとう。いや、こちらこそありがとう。いや、逆に本当このゲームをおすすめしてくれて本当にね。ありがとうございます。マジで神ゲーだった。本当に。神ゲーでしたね。いやー、やりたいね。またやりたくなるゲームはなかなか。2周したいゲームはすごいなって思った。ね、長いようででもそうでもなかったね。割とすぐだったね。2週間 ?3 週間ぐらいか。4回か5回で終わったのか。1回が面白くて長くなったってのもあるけどね。まあね、これからもちょっとこういうストーリーゲーね、やっていくんで、やりたいもの候補はいっぱいまだあるんでね。ちょっと一つずつやっていきたいなと思います。まあ他のゲームもちょこちょこやっていくとは思うんだけど、まあ基本的には、そうね、ちょっと雑談 友達とデートじゃいいっすね。いいっすね。まさかのホワイト違うか。まあそこ、楽しんでね。俺はちょっと昼間出かけるからまた。クロエという名前のデート。確かに。確かに。クロエつながるし。ホワイトに会うときは旅行だ。ああ、遠いのか。お互い。いやー、キュウメさんは来てくれてありがとうございました。いやー、大変だったね。まあね、ちょっとこの後寝れなかったらまた配信をつけるかもしれませんが、また、一旦ここで終わりたいと思います。いや、多分あんま期待しないで。ね、眠いっちゃ眠いから。ちゃんと眠いっちゃ眠いんでね。基本しない手で待っといて。するときはツイートするわ。これ相手寝ましょう。寝ましょう。お疲れ様ことかありがとう。寝もありがとう。目がありがとう。楽しかった。よかった。ありがとう。俺入って寝ましょう。ありがとう。お風呂入って寝ようね。空もあくびしたら寝ましょう。ありがとう、リス。お疲れ様でした。ありがとう、空。空もありがとう。おつコーヒー。おつコーヒー。いや、お茶枠くれた方も本当ありがとうございました。大丈夫？投げ忘れてる方いませんか？楽しめた方はよかったら投げてってください。ありがとうございました。おつコーヒー、リスおつコーヒー。ことこおつコーヒー。空おつコーヒー。メグ、親コーヒー、親コーヒー。親がコーヒーみたいな。おやすみコーヒー。親コーヒー。でもありがとう、親コーヒー。ありがとうございました。また明日ね、また明日。年限の方はね、また明日。みんなでちょっと楽しみだな。初めての試みなんで。今回は心からね、ありがとう。ありがとう、メガ。お茶中ありがとう。次回も楽しみにしてる。いやーもう、俺も楽しみ。ワクワクですね。アニバーサリー。ありがとう。リスありがとう。リスやね。お茶中ありがとう。じゃあ、そんなわけで皆さん、ゆっくり寝てください。今日皆様お疲れ様でした。来てくれてありがとう。みんなおやすみ。バイバイ。またね。バイバーイ。また私になって、また明日。ミケもいてくれたんでありがとう。おやすみ。おやすみ。またね。またね。バイバーイ。